I'm not excited about going back in any film at this scale. Are you kidding? Orson Welles once says the best trained setup we could ever have. Anything of this scale is just, you got to be able to embrace it. You got to be able to live with stress. Let's do it.
Should we try it?
It can only be a fuck up. We learn something each time. Let's just do it. Yeah. Right? In fact, you got to embrace stress, and I do. I find it keeps me flying. You know, I do a lot of other films, so I was always busy and always evolving something. And after a while, I started to think about, well, one really should think about a sequel. And that we tried 5 years ago, and it defeated us, so we let it go. And then it restarted the engine about 2 years ago, actually.
We talked about a sequel over 20 years. And we were also respectful of how many things that had gone right on the first one, that we really didn't want to sully that.
We were just trying to figure out what would be a non-rip-off sequel that would tie in, be inspired by, not be overshadowed by, be respectful of, and that was a tricky path, but a very, very challenging, fun one.
Connecting the first film and its iconography in cinema history to the film we've just made was an incredibly important and meticulous task for Ridley and all of the filmmaking team.
We circled for a long time in search of a story that seemed really worth telling. And it was only a few years ago that we really thought we had an idea that was strong. It was always the Lucius journey. It was always the story, a little bit James Dean, of an alienated son and a kind of homecoming. Someone who's rejected everything about his boyhood.
The idea of somebody who has, at the end of that first movie, been cast to the winds, right? And has fled from Rome and, been cut off from everything.
In the last scene of the first movie, we see a young boy watching the horrible death that he's just witnessed of Maximus, and Maximus being carried out.
The original Maximus, his dying words are, is Lucius all right? She said, he's all right. She says, go to them. So she then tells him to be gone, and he goes into the afterlife, where he walks into the wheat field and goes to his wife and his dead son. And so we didn't see her get rid of the boy, Lucius.
I mean, it's not subtle that there's a relationship between Maximus and Lucilla, but it's definitely sort of subtle that we pick up that it's really Maximus's son.
And so our story takes off with this boy who was next in line for the throne, and his mother wanted to protect him because she knew that now with the power vacuum of Commodus being killed, Joaquin Phoenix from the first movie, there would be a lot of juggling, and he would be a potential target for an assassination. So she sent him away for his own safety, but he was too young to really understand this, and he was sent to North Africa, where hopefully he could lead a normal life and people wouldn't know who he was and he could survive.
You're sending him into the wilderness, where you will eventually, within a day or two, lose track of him completely forever. From the heel of Italy, his trip would be down to, because they know friends in Egypt. There'd be a tracking possibility of relatives that the Romans might be aware of with Lucius, and they would track through the relatives, and on the way probably killing each relative.
From Lucius's point of view, he feels his mother abandoned him, sent him away, and he has a contempt for the Rome he grew up in.
Well, the irony is, he is again raided by the people he has learned to hate, when they're land-grabbing legions that simply want to own the world. Why does somebody want to own the world? They had a massive empire which stretched from the north of England into North Africa, far west to Constantinople, and all of Spain. They were seriously thinking about heading towards India and the Far East. Right? So the empire was massive, and here they are deciding to descend on Africa Nova, New Africa, because they felt, why? No reason why other than to have it and own it. Like that.
That's lovely, yeah. Nicely backlit. I think
It doesn't feel right going big. I think actually it's about, there's more power in me going.
I usually cast the leads. I've always doing something as I'm preparing it with I've already got somebody in mind because I'm just watching things and go, him. I usually have a physical type in my head, and when you're drawing, you're already starting to see people in the role. And so my drawing is more than my sketchbook, it's my plan. We'll bring them this way as I swing in the brothers in bed sheets and things coming from that way. So you come together in this room, you arrive together. And Denzel, I've got sitting as the master of this organization of what's happening, is sitting there. So when you walk in, Denzel maybe right this time acknowledge you, and you then come to do the scene.
Credit to Ridley. He really put a wonderful cast together. He painted the canvas. There's all types of people and talents. And you know, it helps so much with, especially this, well, the clothes help too, but the environment, where we are, and everywhere you look, it feels like history. It all just helped. I couldn't imagine just doing this on sets, you know. There's a size and a scope that the landscape itself brings.